Next, let's look at love. And first of all, obviously a narcissist wants to be loved. They want your full attention, so they want the flow for you. They want to be loved, they want to be cherished. Okay, but how about the reciprocation of love? Can a narcissist love you back? Well, research suggests that a narcissist isn't capable of loving. And when you say that to someone, they find that hard to get their head around, because it might appear for a period of the relationship, certainly in the early days, this narcissist could have been very loving towards you, certainly in their actions, in their their physical and and verbal actions, in how they sort of the kinesthetic, how they touch you, how they hold you, how they kiss you, how much they tell you they love you, potentially the presents they buy you. So it might come across that you're very loved by them. But the best term to use to understand why this isn't quite the case is called object constancy. And the best way to describe it is, if you had a new car, okay, so if you currently got a nice BMW convertible, and you really like that car because you're into cars, you clean it, you clean it every weekend, you get it hoovered out, you look after it, because you really you're really into cars and you really cherish that car. You really, at the time when you've owned that car, love that car, yeah, because it's it might be your pride and joy. You hold it quite dear to yourself, you think a lot of it. Okay, the minute that car gets a bit old and you need to get a new one, you'll go and sell it, or you'll go and trade it in. Okay, and within a day or a couple of days, or a very short period of time, you will swap one car for a new car. Okay, now that car that you loved and cherished, okay, you now don't think anything of it, because you have a new one right in front of you, and you start to love and cherish that, and clean that every weekend, and hoover that out every weekend, and look after that. And that is very much how a narcissist treats another person within a relationship. Okay, so that is why it's so devastating how they move on so quickly. Yeah, so when they're in front of you, or you're in front of them, that they might come across, they do have those feelings, but as soon as the next best thing comes along, then it will go, it will change. Okay, so yeah, now let's look at sex. Sex is another sort of good example. If you've been with a narcissist, you might find the sex absolutely fantastic, yeah, certainly on a physical level. But if you break it down and look into it, it can lack the emotional content required from sex. Do you know what I mean? So it's, although physically you might be getting all you want from it, that emotional content is lacked. And I certainly felt quite used towards the end of a couple of my relationships with narcissists sexually, because it was very much the case of, once they got everything they wanted from it, then that would be it. And they could perform sexual acts to a high level, but they just lacked that level of feeling and connection to them. So that was a big thing. So rather than looking for these signs, these three things are really key. So yeah, narcissists, regarding personality, look for what's called empaths. So what is an empath? Okay, well, the definition of empathy is to basically understand the emotions, drives and preferences of another person. All right, so a narcissist will look for an individual who's very good at understanding and reading another person's emotions and doing what that other person wants, you know, being quite intuitive and filling in the gaps on what that other person needs. Okay, so I'm an empath, and you know, I I always think whenever I wake up in the morning, I always think, you know, what what you know what can I do for my partner to make their day better, you know, without even being asked, without even being prompted. So because I have high levels of empathy and like to think about how someone else ticks and how what they need, that is what I immediately think straight away. So that's what a narcissist looks for, because then that obviously will give them that flow, that attention they want. If they've got a partner who's continually looking after them and continually giving them what they want, and sort of feeding it back to them, then that's just going to make them happy. Okay, so that's something that a narcissist looks for. Okay, but more important, what can we do with them to prevent them sort of like clinging on to us and wanting that relationship with us? What is it they're going to try and take? Well, you know, they want the empath, they want the sex, they want the attention. Okay, but how can we actually almost sort of like thwart them or put them off, or sort of see through them? It's not so much see through them, but act in a particular way that if you act like it, they're going to start second guessing whether you're worth them wasting their time on. Okay, so the first thing I would say is express all your needs and requirements to them. Okay, and make it very clear what you want from a relationship. Okay, and see how they react to that. Now, what a narcissist will generally do is they will start feeding back to you every single thing that you've asked for. Okay, so once you expressed everything that you want to them, it's a case of you know, being aware of how they behave after that. And if they're trying to, you know, feed back to you everything that you said you wanted and required from a relationship, then they're trying to almost sort of manipulate you, or come in sort of come into, or trying to get subconsciously bowl you over or win you over, as it were. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with someone making sure that you've got everything you need, but not if it's done for the wrong reasons. Does that make any sense? So, you know, if someone's trying to do everything you want because they love and care about you, that's fine. If they're doing it because they're trying to manipulate you or to try to draw you in, then that might be, that's a bit of an issue. But a way of making sure that is very difficult to happen is by explaining that you want to take the relationship very, very slowly. Okay, so you pull right back from the relationship. Okay, narcissist wants lots of attention, lots of high octane fun and passion. Okay, you slow things right down, pull right back. Okay, and make it clear that you don't trust people very easily, and trust is something that has to be earned, then they can't, it almost slows them down. And that's not what they're looking for, because they're looking for something that they can get lots and lots of high-end attention from, lots and lots of flow from. So if you pull back and you're slightly reserved, then that's something that they will potentially struggle with. Do you understand what I mean? You know, it's like trust. If you make it very clear that you don't trust easily, trust is something that has to be earned with you, and that it's going to take a good bit of time to actually build that up, then, you know what I mean, straight away that that speed up of the relationship to get that attention is sort of taken away from them. And a lot of the time, if you're not giving them that and they're not getting that attention, they will actually disappear from the relationship. Do you know what I mean? And they will almost expect you to trust them quite quickly, and then buy into you quite quickly, which is where, you know, if you've seen other videos of narcissism before, you know, you'll be aware of, you know, of the love bombing, you know. And it's like, you know, you got to be careful. You telling them what your values and everything you want from a relationship, they will start feeding that back to you really, really quickly. This is what you want to look out for, and telling you how much they love you, how amazing you are, and how, you know, they've never met anyone like you. You're the most amazing person in the world. You're the most amazing thing since sliced bread. You know, as soon as you get that, you're looking at a massive red flag. But like I say, if once you get that, you pull right back from it and slow the relationship right down. That is not something that many narcissists particularly like, because they then stop to get the level of attention that they actually want, and a lot of the time can sort of walk away from it, especially if regarding the trust thing. You know, don't be scared to, you know, question anything that you think that they've told you about themselves that is not particularly right, you know. Which moves on to my next point. Their friends and their family. So along with your values and obviously everything that's important to you and your beliefs, make sure you find out exactly the same from them. Everything they want from a relationship, everything that's important to them, okay? And push to meet their family and their friends, yeah? Say that's a really important thing to you, you know? Get them to meet your family and friends, you know? If they're worried about that, then that's another red flag, or they might start to pull away from that. If they're worried about being found out, the last thing they're going to want to do is meet your family and friends, okay? You need to push to meet their family and friends, all right? And when you meet them, just assess whether the values and beliefs that they told you are really important to them run true with what their family and friends say about them. Do you know what I mean? Because the reason I say that is a lot of the time there's been conflicts, you know. It's like someone tells me what they're, you know, how important someone is to them, and how you know, how they're a massive, they love family, and it's a massive thing, and all of a sudden they don't really talk to their family. Or there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't talk to their family that much, but there's no good reason for it, you know. So there are things that don't add up, and if you push to make sure you go out and meet the family, meet the friends, you know, a lot of the time there can be a bit of resistance there. And if there's, like I say, if there's stuff to hide, they will disengage from it very quickly. A narcissist is looking for an empath, someone who's going to buy into them very quickly, buy into their emotional needs and physical needs and wants very quickly, and give them what they want. Someone who they can love bomb, feed back all their emotions and things that they say and they want from a relationship, feed them back to them, mirror them back, and be that person that they want very, very quickly, to manipulate that person into falling for them very, very quickly, so that they can draw them in, okay? If you make sure that that process can't happen very, very quickly, okay, that very much goes against what a narcissist wants or is trying to do, and the chances are they'll pull away from you, yeah? That's the good thing. It's happened to me a lot. When I've made it very, very clear that I don't trust easily, that, you know what I mean, I just want to take things very, very slowly, and I want to build up trust slowly, and that trust is earned, and that I, you know, not that I'm rude, but I regularly ask the right questions from their friends, family, or other people to make sure everything adds up. A lot of the time with a narcissist, things will not add up, okay? So they won't want you to ask those questions, so they would disappear in the first place, and you won't have to go through that horrible horrible breakup. Because evidently what we're trying to avoid here is, you know, going through that narcissistic pattern, okay? So you meet a narcissist, they love bomb you, they manipulate you, they pull you in, they get you to fall absolutely head over heels in love with them, okay? When you're in love with them and when they know and they're confident about that, they start devaluing you and pulling massively away from the relationship, okay? So they completely sort of like disregard you, all right, and pull away, okay? Then by the time they've pulled away, devalued you, treated you like absolute shit, okay? Which is, by the way, let me might add, all they're doing for is they're doing it for attention, to get a buzz, because that's what makes them tick, because they're very sick and not nice individuals. And then all of a sudden they will discard you and they will go. And the thing about that is you won't know why, because it won't be a case of you having done something wrong, because it's not a case of you doing something wrong. The only thing you've done wrong in the first place is get involved with them, yeah? So this is what you're trying to avoid in the first place, okay? So when you meet someone, it's really, really important that you ask the right questions about them. You take things very, very slowly, okay? You let love build up slowly. You let friendship or whatever it is build up slowly, and you verify everything that's been said to you, all right? Now, if you do those things with a narcissist, the chances are, like I said, they'll have stuff to hide, and they will pull away from the relationship in the first place. Then you won't have the trauma of going through, of falling deeply in love, then being devalued, then being left. You'll have, you know what I mean, due to being a more aware. I was going to say stronger, but it's not about being strong or weak. It's about being more aware and asking the right questions. By being more aware and asking the right questions, they basically realise that you're not quite the victim potentially that they thought you were, and that they'll go off and try and find someone else. Hope it's been helpful for you, ladies and gents. Any questions, please email me on chrisjgibson78@gmail.com, or send me a WhatsApp on 07831 423 424. Thank you very much.